Who do I see at the bar with his little bottle? And I tapped him lightly on his shoulder and said, excuse me. So this is where you cut hair at. And he looked at me with them big eyes, you crazy, you crazy, you crazy. So I left. When I come home, here he come out the house with his clothes. He's leaving me. And I was very upset, and I can tell you, that night, I rammed into the back of his car, and I tried to tear it up.
She's the judge who gives rules on the law and life. She's intense with common sense. She's Judge Lynn Toller on Divorce Court, where real couples deal with real life. Angela met Anthony at church and courted for only 3 months before making it official. But Angela soon discovered that Anthony had thought he'd found his soulmate 5 times before.
So he moved in with me, and right after he showed up, the woman showed up in my driveway, blaring her horn, telling me that he was nothing but a whore and a liar, and that I would shortly find out what type of man that I had.
I didn't base our marriage on my past relationships at all. I do want a wife, not this one.
Will Anthony finally decide to slow down after 6 marriages? Today on Divorce Court.
All rise. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Lynn Toller presiding. You may be seated.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here with Angela Mitchell and Anthony Mitchell. Mr. and Mrs. Mitchell, you have been married 9 years, although you have been on and off for the past 7. You have children from previous relationships. Mr. Mitchell, you have, at the tender age of 42, managed to rack up 6 exes. And I'm gonna ask you about that. But before we do, Ms. Mitchell, I want to start with you. Why don't you tell me a little bit about this marriage and why you want to end it now?
Your Honor, I want to end the marriage because my husband is a liar. He really has a problem with lying. I've known him for a while, but I met him in church. That's where, we got together. Shortly after, he told me the relationship he was in was a problem relationship. So he moved in with me. He showed up with his 2 trash bags. And right after he showed up, the woman showed up in my driveway, blaring her horn, telling me that he was nothing but a whore and a liar, and that I would shortly find out what type of man that I had. The man lies so much. Let me tell you about one of the lies. Recently, I put him on my block list because I don't like being bothered, because he's worrisome. So I get this strange phone call from a strange area code. So I answer it, and the person says, "I'm sorry, but I have the wrong number." Okay, I recognize the voice because this is my husband, right? But he said...
It wasn't me.
It was him.
It wasn't
okay.
me.
The next morning, I get a text that says, "Good morning, love." I'm like, okay, same number. So I call the number. The person picks up and hangs up. So I had one of my friends call the number and specifically ask for Anthony and pretend to be another woman. And sure enough, it was Anthony then.
Mr. Mitchell, are you playing on the phone?
No, see, when I was in Georgia, that's what she's referring to. It was me playing on the phone, sure enough, because she always does that, but she was talking
Anthony,
to my
that was
cousin.
different.
Not me.
That's not your number. Your Honor, I can show you my phone with the same number where he this is.
But I believe you. I believe you.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
had too many details. I want to go back to when you got together.
When we got together?
Yeah. How long did you know him before you let him move in with his 2 garbage bags full of clothes?
Not long at all. I was foolish. I was very foolish. But
And when that woman rolled up on you in the driveway and was blaring her horn and hollering at him, why was that not a signal to run?
But that was a red flag there, and I was foolish enough. It wasn't even 2-3 months. Now, this was one of the ex-wives. Mind you, he was still currently married to the woman before me in the process of going through a divorce.
And that was the ex-wife before her?
That was the one before her. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. He was living with that one.
He was living with the ex?
The one that came to my driveway. But the one
But there was a marriage in the middle that he was still in.
Right. He was in the process of getting divorced. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Mitchell, how come you have 6 ex-wives?
I like being married. I want a wife. But, I mean, after my first wife, it was like, I guess it was more so on me, trying to find anybody like her because I dated her ever since the 7th grade. And I take fault for the ones in between, even a little bit of this one. But I didn't base our marriage on my past relationships at all. I do want a wife, not this one, but I do want a wife.
Wow, not this one.
And I tend to do right by my wife.
But you don't want me, but he consistently texts me. I'm telling you.
And playing on your phone and carrying on. I got you.
When Divorce Court continues, what leads Angela to walk through a nightclub in her pajamas?
I'm really just in my lounging stuff, probably house shoes. I'm going through the club looking crazy because I'm looking for my husband.
Everyone warned you about marrying your mate. If divorce is the only solution, call toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or visit our website at divorcecourt.com or become a fan at facebook.com/divorcecourt.
Divorce Court is back with the case of Angela Mitchell, who claims her husband lies to her every chance he gets. But have Angela's anger issues driven Anthony to be deceitful?
She stormed through the door, and the first thing she said, everybody get out of my house. Rapping and raging, I'm like, next thing I know, all the power goes off. She done shut all the power off.
Why don't you tell me about when you caught him at a club and lied about having his own place? What was that?
So he comes home and he says, he gets his little haircutting bag and everything. I'm gonna go hang out with one of my boys and I'm gonna go cut hair. So I'm like, okay, you know, I'm thinking that number, go cut your hair, go hang out with your boy, whatever. So I leave to go drop some movies off, Your Honor, and I'm not following him behind him. I'm at the movie place and the club is right across the street. I promise you, something came over me and said, your husband is in that club. I can't explain what it was. So I'm like, no, you know, it was a strong feeling. So something said, drive through the parking lot. So I drive through the parking lot and something said, go to the back. Well, I go to the back and sure enough, his little car parked in the back, all hid. So I get out and I go inside and I ask the people, I say, do you mind if I walk through the club? I am not here to party. I just want to do a walkthrough. I just want to do a walkthrough. Let me finish. So, you know, because I'm not there, I'm not dressed up or nothing. I'm really just in my lounging stuff, probably house shoes. I'm going through the club looking crazy because I'm looking for my husband. So I'm walking through. Who do I see at the bar with his little bottle sitting with it? And I tapped him politely on his shoulder and said, excuse me. So this is where you cut hair at. And he looked at me with them big, you crazy, you crazy, you crazy. So I left. I did leave. I left and I drove around and I was very hurt. I was upset about I was very upset and I left. And when I come home, here he come out the house with his clothes. He's leaving me. And I was very upset and I can tell you that night, I rammed into the back of his car and I tried to tear it up.
That wasn't over a club.
Mr. Mitchell, what's your version of that event?
The problem with Angela, Your Honor, is she's too controlling. Let me tell you, there was a time that she went to Kansas City to the World's Fund.
Right.
She's supposed to stay overnight, but she decided to come home early. So what I do to entertain myself was I invited friends over from work, my boss, co-workers and stuff like that. We played poker for a quarter, just a nice little friendly game. You know, we had a few drinks, you know, food and stuff like that. And who storms through the door? Her. She storms through the door, and the first thing she said, everybody get out of my house. Rapping and raging, I'm like,
that's not,
oh man, don't worry about it, I'll take care of it.
That's not what happened.
So I went upstairs and I talked to her for a little while, came back down, she's still upset. Start back playing poker. Next thing I know, all the power goes off. She done shut all the power off.
I did do that, but that's not how it happened. I did, we had went to
And she talks about me lying about where I'm going, I have to, because if I say, hey, I'm going out here to have a drink with my friends at the bar, watch the game, she come unglued. So I would have to lie to her about where I'm going in order to go somewhere.
Your Honor, at that point, he had been cheating so much. Previously to that, I didn't care what he did, who he did it with. And furthermore, if you married, why do you have to continue to hang out with your boys? What is, I don't mind. But it's not your boys that you hanging out with. It's your exes. It's other women.
When Divorce Court continues, Anthony has a unique way of packing up and leaving his wife.
Instead of going to the closet to see if his clothes were missing, I went to the drawer to see if trash bags were missing. Because if the trash bags were gone, that meant he was gone.
If you would like your case heard on Divorce Court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or log on to our website at divorcecourt.com and follow us on Twitter @DivorceCourt. Divorce Court returns with the case of Angela Mitchell, who complains that her husband hangs out and parties with his friends way too much. But does Anthony really have his priorities out of whack?
The bills weren't getting paid, but you steady coming up in here, G'd up.
What do you mean the bill wasn't
looking
getting paid?
like you 18 years old.
At the end of the day, Mr. Mitchell, I understand that you believe that Mrs. Mitchell is jealous of you simply because you are so fine.
No,
Seriously?
What you were coming on is like...
Jealous.
What Angela was coming on, Yanni, is that things like... I came in the house one day and I had on a long jersey. You know, it was like with baggy pants, stuff like that. She got mad because she said, look at you, look like a young thug. You ain't young, you don't need wearing stuff like that. You sure wear stuff like that. Anything I do, she would complain about it.
The bills weren't getting paid, but you steady coming up in here, G'd up.
What do you mean the bill wasn't
looking
getting paid?
like you 18 years old. There was, you understand?
But whose job was it to actually pay the bills? To write out the check, though?
Both of us. I had the checking account. Everything was always provided for him. Mr. Disappear on payday. Every payday.
Okay.
I'm not disappearing. You show up at the job every day.
Payday. What got me one time is when I upgraded my car. I upgraded my car. I didn't need to. He's a car salesman. I was fine with my little car I had, but he went, oh, honey, you need this car, da-da-da-da. So I get the car, and then when it was time to pay the tax, this is payday. I work overnight. I come home to find out my husband left me. That broke me so bad, but I took him back again. Payday, what I started doing, instead of every 2 weeks, instead of going to the closet to see if his clothes were missing, I went to the drawer to see if trash bags were missing. Because if the trash bags were gone, that meant he was gone.
Mr. Mitchell, you say she's selfish.
Yes, this car that she said that I said that she needed, she didn't. But anyway, she bought this car, and I got it financed for her. I talked to lenders and everything like that because I am in the car business to get it done for her because her credit was not up to par yet. But anyway, even when she got this car, instead of her say, okay, honey, here's your set of keys and here's this is my set of keys, she kept both sets of keys. I had no access to that car at all except to wash it or put gas in it.
What?
Exactly.
So wait, to wash or put, first of all,
or put gas
where
in
he
it.
worked at, it was a free car wash.
But
you
you
didn't
could
have
come
to
there.
wash it. I could drive it.
No.
That was part of the deal
No.
of getting that car, that you could always come there and
get a free car wash.
get a free car. To put gas in it, tell me when, where, and when did you ever put gas in my car?
All the time.
Oh, I just
You
don't,
would
I
call
can't-
me
Your
randomly
Honor,
after we separated, saying you need gas or
jealous.
you need something to eat. Am I right about that? Oh yeah.
I really can't believe what he's saying right
She
now.
can't even go to my
Mitchell,
job.
So your main complaint, the reason you left her, the reason you got up, would get the garbage bags and fill them up and go, would be what? I mean, what was she?
Her thing is, when I came back and I moved back in with her, her thing was being, she's so mentally disturbed to where she would say, one day she would say, I love you, this and that, and we're gonna make this work, we're just gonna have it. The next day she said that she don't want to be married. She don't want to do this, or she don't want to do that. So I got tired of the back and forth with her. One day it's okay, one day it's not.
That's not true.
That's how she is.
Your Honor, I'm gonna tell you about this. When he had his place, because he had just recently, it was a situation, he had his place and I had my place, and I wanted it that way. I really did. I told him, I said, we need some time apart. I want us to be apart because I need you to, whatever is going on with you, you are so insecure. You use women as accessories. You feel like you have to go from bedpost to bedpost. Let's take some time apart. I need to know that you're going to work on this marriage. Get all whatever you got in you, get it out of you. But if you need to hang with your boys, if you need to do that from your place. So when we do reconcile, we will work on this marriage and we will be one. We will be committed to one person.
When Divorce Court continues, has Anthony stooped to an all-time low?
I recently lost my son. That particular day, he's blowing my phone up. I felt like he's like, I need to come be with you tonight. Be with me for what? It was a sexual thing to me.
Divorce Court returns with the case of Anthony Mitchell, who has been married 6 times, and Angela Mitchell, who says it's time for her husband to start looking for number 7.
Tell me what the final straw is.
This is my final straw. My final straw is that I recently lost my son, okay?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That particular day, he's blowing my phone up. I felt like he's like, I need to come be with you tonight. Be with me for what? It was a sexual thing to me. The other thing was there's this loan that I have. After I got back, I called to check the status of this loan to see, is he making the payments? Because when he falls behind, they come after the dependable one, me,
right,
the one that's gonna make the payments. The woman tells me, I'm so sorry for your loss. Anthony told me he wasn't able to keep up on his payments because he had to attend his son's funeral.
Mr. Mitchell, your response?
That is a lie. I never told anybody anything about attending my son's
How did
funeral.
the lady know about my son?
Or talk to the lady about the car.
How did this lady know about my son?
What about the rest of it? Did you call to, for a one-nighter when
I wasn't calling for that. Anytime I call her, or anytime I did call her, I want to talk to her, or get with her, she always thinks it's about sex because that's what it ended up always being.
Your Honor, it is.
But see, here's the thing of it is, Your Honor, I'm not the one that initiates sex all the time.
Okay. Why don't you tell me about the $1,500 you want for
all right, this
the
is
car?
where I'm at with this loan. This is a loan that has been over 7 years. And what happened was this man, he's a manipulator. He knows all about the car business. I had no idea. I'm the co-signer on the loan. So over a period of time, which I can give you evidence, it's a matter over 7 years, payments that I have made when he falls behind. I had gotten the people down to where they were going to take the interest off, and I had gotten them down to $50 a month payments. I called before we came to the show just to find out where Anthony is on this car loan. And this is the last payment he made was around the time my son passed. The car got repossessed. So once they repossessed it, I guess there's a balance left on it that you have to pay, and then they add interest to it. I don't understand how this grown man, able-bodied, why can't you make $50 a month payment and go ahead and pay that loan off? What is taking so long?
Mr. Mitchell, what would you like to say about that?
And for me making payments, I do make payments because they garnish my wages for payments. From what they told her, I don't know what they told her.
They told me the last payment you made was March 11th. That was during the time.
Are you currently making payments?
No.
And you know what? I call them people. Because now that they have my information, you can trust and believe
they'll come
for me now.
I got you. Mr. Mitchell, I think you have an image of what you want for a wife, but that's not what a wife really is. That's why you're never satisfied with the ones that you get. I think you like to be taken care of, not financially so much, but the care and love that women bring to a relationship. I think you enjoy that, but I'm not sure if you're able to give in return what they need in order to remain happy and stable in that union. And I'm not sure if that's true or not, but you've got 6 marriages under your belt at 42. Something's going wrong, and it would behoove you to figure out what it is, would it not? It really would. No, you knew that.
I know.
You had a guy, you met him, he comes over with some trash bags and followed by a woman in a car. You knew it wasn't good. You knew it wasn't right. Let me say this. I would award you the money because I think you do the money, but you're not out the money yet, and I don't know that you are going to be out the money. Okay. All I can do is award you your freedom and say, go forth. And don't look back. There will be no recovery in this matter. It is so ordered.
All rise. Parties may leave the courtroom.
We were unable to reach Angela for her update, but Anthony states that though he has not seen Angela since the show, they have talked and the lines of communication are open between them. He also states that he has moved on and plans to file for divorce.